Does this service or product fit the mission of your organization? Sometimes if you don't really know why and don't remember the purpose of your organization, or if your vision or purpose is much too broad, you can spread yourself so thin that you no longer are effective. Do you have the resources to provide the service? Money. How you come up with a great idea, but how are the expenses going to be covered? Will there be a family or student fee? Will you fundraise for it? Which is a project of its own, by the way, if you have to fundraise. Is it just part of your membership dues? Another thing to think about is marketing. How will families know about it? Do you have time to get out the word about it? You don't want to suddenly decide to put together a sports league, and finally, by the time you get it all organized, all the rest of the teams that you would have participated with are already halfway through the session. So you need to be careful about starting soon enough. Do you need a minimum number to work with? A good idea before you start a product or service, figuring out, okay, if this costs this much, we need this many people to do it, I better have a sign-up sheet before I get too far into my planning of this event. Do you have, okay, and then staff. Do you have enough people, the personnel to staff it? It should not be you who is staffing everything or most things. Do you have time to prepare for it? Is there an ending time for the service or product? Will you try it for a year or 3 months and see how it works out? Be careful about promising people something that will be for 5 years or have succession. If it's a failure the first year, that's going to be a problem. You might want to try it just once or twice to see what the response is. You don't want to set up a special speaker for your group and have it all set up for 9 months only to find out only a few people are showing up each month, and that's really not fair to the speaker and to the resources of your group. Is there, okay, I did that. Okay, so now some more tips for successful programs is to start simple. You can have a product or a service that doesn't have all the bells and whistles at first. If you want to start a drama group, you don't have to jump into Shakespeare. You can start simple. You can start with simple props, simple things, and see what the interest is and what your energy is for. You need a champion, someone willing to give full effort to launch and continue, and that shouldn't be you, unless this is really your passion, because you're already one of the leaders of the organization. You need a team. Don't rely on one person. Your champion needs people to be part of the planning and the execution. Be polite, but not a pushover. You may get many requests of things to do or how to improve your service. You can listen. Do listen to them, but that doesn't mean you need to say yes just to make everyone feel good. Make it easy to continue your service. Have a job description for it. And if you say, oh, wow, how do I start? I just learned something new last session in the technology session. You can use ChatGPT to write your job description, just your first draft. Just put in what you're looking for, and there you go. There's your start on your job description. The how-to steps are really important, and keep notes on how to do it differently next year. And the next thing is have fun with it. Don't make this a big drama where you get all involved in the details and the details fall apart and it's just so upsetting. Make it fun, make it simple, make it fun, and enjoy it. I want to give you some examples from a well-run support group, which I will say was the one I started years ago, 35 years ago. We just had a wonderful support group, about 120 families. We were a volunteer board. We had no paid staff. We had a simple membership fee. But what we did in order to provide as much as we did was we expected every member family to volunteer for a task or a project in our organization. So when they signed up, they had to choose from, we gave them a list. Here's a list of things that you could do. You could, partner within the science fair. You could clean up after a meeting. You could set up before the meeting. Maybe you're just bringing snacks, or you could be the welcomer. I think about the moms with all the little children. They don't have time to partner in putting together a science fair or a brain bee, that type of thing. They just want to show up and be encouraged, but they're required to do something. So pick something easy for them that they can do. We would say, here's your list. You can have your first choice, second choice, third choice, because somebody else might take their first choice. It also was helpful for us when we would have a member family choose for their first choice, like we're going to lead the science fair, and we know that they would do a terrible job. So we could give them their second or third choice, and we didn't have to tell them why. As I said, some were able to handle more complex tasks than others. We also required 2 to lead each service. So it wasn't just one person in charge, there were 2. Usually there was the leader and then someone who helped her, although some people, partnered in it. This was great because then the next year, if the leader stopped doing what she wasn't able to continue, the partner was able to step in and do the project. It's also mentoring. It's also a chance to mentor. You can choose your ladies in your group or your men that you know are not very confident, but then if they just had some mentoring, they would do well. I'm sorry. Thank you. One thing that was said in an earlier session that I thought was great was that you need someone to be your 80%. And you need that as a leader of your organization too. You need to have someone with you that can be your 80%. So sure, if you needed to step aside, of course, they're not going to be able to do everything you did. But if they can do 80%, that's pretty good. So that could be a rule of thumb for every service, every product that you have, that people are that you're doing in your organization. Have your 80% person, which I call your partner or your mentor. I was going to give you a list of possibilities of what you would have if you had a national organization or you're setting up a city organization or a local one. But I think that you already know all the things that could be done. I would probably rather help you cross some things off your list as you get started and as you want to make your organization successful and excellent. You don't have to be perfect, but you want to be excellent, which means sometimes making some hard choices. And if you're run ragged, you're not going to be able to make those choices. Thank you.
Thank you, Cam. And I really liked your comments there about integrity, credibility, and family, keeping those at the forefront. Okay, with that, I'm going to now turn it over to Juliana, and we'll see what she has for us.
No, that's fine. Well, I'm seeing that two of my slides are not okay, but okay. I think I'll try to remember, unless Lucas can pass me his, what I sent you before, but anyway. Okay, so my name is Juliana Villegas. I was born in Colombia, in South America, and I started to homeschool before I ever even heard about that. I didn't know that educating your own kids was called home educating or homeschooling. I just felt, especially pushed by my closest friends, that we needed to take charge of the education of our own kids. We didn't want someone else being the leaders of what we taught our kids and how we brought them up. It was a difficult time economically speaking, because our families were going through a harsh time. In Colombia, our means of going through life economically was constructing buildings, and not me, but my friends, my family. And it was a difficult time for that in Colombia. So my friend said, it's not a matter if you're scared, if you're not. We need to give our kids the best education possible. And since you are the psychologist and you've been an English teacher for many years and we see you like that kind of thing, you've got to give us a hand. So I said, okay. So I don't know how this is going to be done, but I'm going to do it. So what I learned is that really to lead is to try and guide into the right direction. But how do we know which is the right direction? When you're a leader, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility because people are counting on you. They're counting that you will be searching for the right direction. And that's what I felt. I was leading at least the education of my 4 kids and the kids of my closest and dearest friends. So for many years, I lived that like I was carrying a building on top of my shoulders because I needed that to be successful. And what I found was the only way I can do this if I truly commit myself to searching for truth, to searching for He could guide me, and so that I can really be sure that I'm taking the right steps and that I'm leading these kids and these families into the best direction possible. So I think that to be a leader and to lead is really to serve others. And it's opening the way for not only for yourself and for your family, for your kids, but what I've learned is that behind you, many others may come. And that's why I'm here today to tell you that whatever you find for your kids, for your organizations, there will be many others that will benefit from that after you. If you do it truly hearted, if you do it looking for the best that you can possibly do things. As you said, no one is perfect, and we're not going to do things perfectly, but we can do them honestly. And I think that it's even more important in life to be honest than to be perfect or to be good. I think honesty is the basis for trust, is the basis for finding the right path. So I think we should aim high. There is a song I love that says, aim high. If you aim for the stars, the worst that can happen is you may land on the moon. So you've got to aim high if you want to reach high standards, if you want to reach good things. You can't just adapt and conform with the closest and the lowest possible things. So for me, my true passion, what really moves me, is not so much home education. I think that is an option that should be respected, that should be, I work for that. But really what moves me is to lead others to find He who said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am a Catholic, but I am truly convinced that there is a path, there is something beyond what we see. And even if we home educate or we choose to educate our kids in a more traditional way, we should look beyond. This is not the end of it. So just keeping our eyes here is a little bit limiting. We need to, go beyond. I think I have to do this. Okay. So our experience as home educators put to work for others and even for our own budget. When I was thinking about, what am I going to go and say there? I've found that so many families struggle with the fear. What's going to happen if one of us stays home to home educate? What's going to happen? And what I have seen through all these years is that we become so creative and we are so, full of energy that we find ways not only to home educate, but that make that home education an opportunity for us to even make a good income while we are serving others. So I missed it in one of the previous slides, but I said like it's a way of growing while we are serving our own kids, our own families, and other people. So that's what my experience tells me. I think that happens because home education makes us think out of the box. When we begin to do things differently from the mainstream, we begin finding other answers, other ways to see problems. And then when problems come, even economic problems, we tend to find different kinds of solutions. So I really think that home educating is educational for the kids and for the parents. So I've seen many examples, and I will show you in my last slide some of them, families and people that started home educating, and then they developed something, and they learned that could also be a way for them to make a living, to make a good earning system, and so everything kind of flows into place. So I think that home educating, being a leader in this, is opening roads, but I think that at least that's what helped me go further. It's opening roads to serving others. I insist, serve your own family, but serve others, those who are needing help, needing a friendly hand, because it's scary to step out of the box. It is scary, at least it was for me. So believing it can be done and finding the right solution for each kid, listening to others and their specific needs. I once said, I think the revolution of what I was doing in education and what my friends were doing is we were willing to listen even to a little kid. You know, people talk about education and education policies, but they don't listen to those who are being educated. And I think even the youngest kid has something to say about their process, about what they need. So I think listening is a key instrument if we want to be able to serve properly, so to be able to lead in this area of education and home education. So that's the way to find something fit, something that will be useful for that specific family, for that specific kid. And that's when we find many new solutions. Okay. It kind of came here, I'm sorry. But so there are two big problems. One, families want the best for their kids, but they panic facing challenges and obstacles. So I think that one of the things is to keep calm, think that there is always a solution. When things look so dark, this university is not going to accept my home educated boy. Wait. Breathe deep in. There's always a solution. That's what I've found, and that's what I offer people. Relax. Let's think about it. Let's pray about it. We always find a solution. Always. There's not been once that it's been impossible to solve. So, and the other big issue, so one is certification and reaching goals. The other big issue is family budget, and I've already referred to that. So I think that when we open up, our imagination begins to give us so many options. So that ends up being really an opportunity and not a fear. I want to briefly tell you about my two big projects. This is Open Doors. It's a Colombian micro school, co-op, I don't know what to call it. This is where our kids grew up, and now it's open to the public. We have kids that go every day, kids that go once a week, kids that go once a month, and we help families do home education with as much or as little help as they want from us. So we can help them take care of the kids every day, or just eventually. And that's my oldest daughter. She's leading this project in Bogota, Colombia. We have a site and with lots of beautiful things, vegetables and bunnies and things. And then we have our Umbrella School, New World Dream Academy. This is a dream come true, a dream that we could offer our own students and others, the opportunity to certify what they do, be free, teach, learn, and then be able to access traditional universities if that's what your kids and you want. And just so I don't skip this, these are some of the projects that I know that are so interesting, and I do appreciate if you take a picture of that. These are people that, for different reasons, started homeschooling or were related to home education and are now leading their own economical projects that serve home educators. So I have preschool services that is called, I believe, Uniting Hearts. There is these music teachers that have Tune It Easy. We have some games and different, and so there are so many possibilities. I just want to end with this quote from the Bible: "For we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." So I really think that's the reason why we should take leadership as a service option. And that's what I wanted to share with you today.
Thank you, Juliana. I was struck by one of the things you said there, which was our family. It's a way of us serving as a family. I know in our case, our whole family was involved in serving. Even when my kids were 8, 10, 12 years old, we had them writing articles for our newsletter and helping us organize things. And so it was a family organization. It wasn't we were doing one thing and the kids off doing something else. We really brought them in. And I think that's an important part of this, of getting that engagement. Okay, so Sofia, please come and join us.
Hi, everyone. I think we're all getting affected by the air condition. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for inviting me to this track of the organization and leadership services and activities. It was very interesting that when I was thinking what to share with you today, not knowing the audience, are they experts, are they leaders, are they beginners, what do they need to hear? And it's very interesting that I think the three of us kind of cover the same things, so which is good, which means that we all go down to the same rules and the same basics that I hope you can get out of here and remember those, because those are the basics. And I would like to share what I call the magic questions, because there are 4 next. Okay, that can also worth sharing. Some of you might know this as the magic triangle when it comes to the why, the who, and the what from Grassman. But I think there's the other one, there's 4 of them: the why, the who, the what, and how do you do things that we need to consider to whatever activity we want to do, whether it's a family activity, an association activity, a big organization like this event activity, right? What does it make us to be here? What does it imply? So the why, what is your purpose? What is your mission? But also, what's the impact you want to create in other people's life? What moves you? What takes you out of the bed each morning? We already know that being a homeschooler, it's not always easy, depending where you live. So you need to have strong motivations to do things differently. And when you are a homeschool mom, it's the same. Maybe you live in an isolated area and do not have so many friends for your kids to play or to learn with, or you live in a big city and there are so many options that you don't know which one to choose. So organizing and planning ahead, even if it's just a brainstorming in your head, helps things to move forward. And then you need to think about the who, right? If you want to provide something to others as a leader, to an organization or an association or just the neighborhood community, you can think about who is the people you want to support, to whom you want to provide that, And is it a parent? It is the children? Maybe it's the politicians. Just before I was listening, some people are just here and very focused that my goal, my mission is to change the mind of those people. And others might be thinking, no, I want to provide new services that are in existence to my community, to these children. And sometimes we want to do all at once, but if we have a strong focus, it will help us and it will guide us. It will be a polar star to keep moving forward when things get not so easy. Maybe you are thinking big enough to transform society because you want them to understand your reality. So how do you impact that? How do you get there? It's a huge challenge. And to find out that, you need to think what you can offer. What is your strengths and your skills that you can share, or that you want to learn to share with others, or you want to help others to develop? What value do you think you can bring to other families? That's kind of the service, right? The activity you want to provide. And maybe, as Cam said, that might not be what you think they need. So understanding your audience is really important, because sometimes you have great ideas, and that's not what people are looking for. So if you want to serve and support others, you need to understand their needs, not just yours. And how do you do that? How many resources? And Cam also mentioned some of them. What are the resources, the people, where, when? What you need is the processes, peer interactions that they need, more learning experience. There are so many ways, but you need to stop and to plan and think about these things. How am I going to get there? When they decided to make this conference in Manchester, there was a lot of questions probably. How are we going to make it? Who needs to be involved? And if we think as homeschoolers in the creativity that was mentioned before, it's like when we have 5 kids and we need to go shopping, right? How am I going to do this? I need to go out, what I need to plan. So everything ties to just brainstorming where I want to go and make sure I can get to the point and to the goal that I planned before I left the house, and I don't end up in the park just playing and I didn't shop at all. So all of this it's important at different scales, at the family scale and at the big organization scale. And then a very important piece is the value. It's not here. That whatever you set up, there's also a value attached to it. And I'm talking about financially values. There's, of course, your values are strong, but everything you do, like if you stay at home and one of the parents need to work, there's a cost for you to stay at home. If I'm organizing an event in the park, I'm driving there, etc. I've made many meetups when I was just a homeschool mom, meeting families in the park, and I could see that for me it's so easy to drive there, but for other families, getting to that particular part was hard because they needed to get public transportations. It was not the best place. And then we realized we've learned from the mistakes. Maybe we need to set up this somewhere else so more people can, with different realities, can be here. And everything you do, there's a time, the time you dedicate to that situation. So it's important to have these questions in mind to make sure you don't drag yourself and you plan well, whatever you're doing. Today we're talking about homeschooling. It could be a wedding. It could be anything, right? I was asked to share some lessons learned when you think about how to go from an idea to a plan and to a service. And I tried, sorry, I keep forgetting that I'm the one pushing the button. Okay. It's there. And I've tried to divide the lessons learned into 4 sections: the structure, the people, the time, and joy. Okay, so why structure? I think there's a very strong difference between individual autonomy and that of an organization. I come from a place, as I said, that I was just a homeschool, and I actually planned to homeschool before I had kids because I was working in education. I have an art, theater background, and I was working in public schools and private schools as an art teacher. And when I decided, like, once I have kids, this is not what I want for me, for sure. I'm not gonna be leaving my kids with someone else so I can go somewhere else taking care of others' kids. So that was a very strong commitment, and it was so strong inside me that there was no doubts I just didn't know back then that I was already leading my own family and myself into a path that it was unknown back then. So, but I did learn that when you are an individual and you have autonomy and you pick the kids, you put them in the car and whatever, that's not the same when you run an organization. And later on, 2011, when I was having all these struggles in my mind that we need to help more people understand, in Portugal, that's where I'm from, that they don't even know. The law allows us to do homeschooling and people just don't know. So back then, when a group of people get together, our main focus, thinking about the why, the who, was we just want the information to get out. We just want to review whatever laws are there, wherever decrees, and it was a lot of work. We were not having the background on laws and legislation. We were just trying to get together and do that. And that was already changing. My autonomy as an individual was not the same as the organization. We're just a bunch of parents trying to do our best and wanting to organize information to provide to others, and then explain parents they have a choice. And you can choose, you can actually homeschool. You can also choose a private school. Some families didn't even know. They saw that just public system was the only option there. So learning in a group and a team, you learn that people have different ideas, different views. So again, the mission and knowing why you are there, what moves you, is very important. So you can also surround yourself with the people who have the same values and are looking toward the same goal. And later on, I was invited to join Culinary School, an American school that supports students all over the world, more than 70 countries, to start the Portuguese program. And later on, I became the European director. And later on, I was invited, kind of pushed through, to become the executive director, the position I'm right now doing, and also part of the board. And all of this, I'm telling all of this because this is lessons learned. The different levels of an organization and the amount of people you are involved change how you do things. It's like when you have 2 kids or you have 7 kids, you don't organize the house in the same way, do you? You can't. So imagine when you are running now, maybe you're just starting and having these big ideas, and there's 10 or 20 of you in the organization. Who knows if in 2, 3, 5 years, there will be 50 or 100, right? So think ahead, be visionary, dream big and see what are the values and the mission you want to bring to the world and how you can support others. But start thinking about that right now. So back then, I didn't have all of this knowledge that I have now, right? So you learn from your mistakes and you really understand that you need to bring structure, you need to bring policies, you need to bring the definitions so we can all speak the same language. And I'm getting farther from my notes. For example, at Clonlara, when we enroll and serve children, we are fostering their individual curiosities, strengths, interests, and talents. They bring this quality to us. In return, as a school, we offer back a place where they are safe, trusted, and enriched. And we do this much better when the expectations and the protocols are understood and followed. We can spend much more time and energy with the learners and the families if we are not continually defining, describing, creating policies and practice. This is why there is a difference between the need of the individual learner for autonomy and the need of an organization for consistent systems and methods. And then you have the other thing that I think is that what doesn't matter the size of the organization or business, you need to think like that there is a purpose to move forward. Sometimes you think it's just us, this is volunteer work, etc., and you don't think about the structure as a business that might be needed. I'm getting short in time here. People, of course. Take care of your community. Take care of yourself. It's so important. It's so easy to be dragged by your motivations and mission and just try to carry the entire world with you because you want to save everyone, you want to help every single family, you want to be on the phone with them, whatever they need, we are here for them. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I talk by my own experience. You'll be dragging yourself. And you need to empower others. You need to learn to teach them to do the same things you are doing. And this brings accountability that many times it's also true that people just expect you to do the work for them. Do not do that. Do not do that and protect yourselves and protect your team. because they need to learn their own ways, and they need to spend the time to focus on what are their needs. So you can provide, the route, but they need to walk by themselves. And the time. The shorter way to do many things is to only do one thing at a time. They say it's Mozart who said it. I was for many years, and I think I'm still the idea of the juggler. You can do many things at once. And for a long time in society, there was this idea that it's great to be a multitasker, and we are women's show and men's show, and we can do it all at once. Yes, until to a certain extent. So the importance of having the right people around you, supporting, recognizing their talents and skills. We don't need to do everything. Society tells that we need to learn about everything. We need to do the best. That's not true. That's why we live in community. That's why we are raised through families and villages and big lands, because we can support each other and learn from each other all the time. We don't need to carry everything on ourselves. And we need to learn how to manage time and to remind others to put boundaries, that we also have a life, and we need to have, and if we don't put the boundaries, no one else will put those boundaries on you as a leader. And then joy, of course. Stay joyfully focused and keep your mission to your heart. Things change. I'll just share quickly my past. I was just a homeschooler. I never thought I would be in the position I am right now. But my mission, my core focus never changed. And that's why now I just feel that I can impact more people around the world with the work that I'm doing. So please, please stay focused on your purpose. Visualize what you want for your life, for your kids, for your community, and stick to that plan that was provided to you in life. Thank you so much. Sorry, there was a quote. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Sofia. And the term value really struck me there. Is that's something, are we providing value? Everything we should be doing should be providing value, and there's value in it. Okay, we're now open for questions. Anyone who has a question for our panelists, is there anyone out there who has one to get us started? If not, I have, yes, so who has our mic? Who's our mic runner this time?
Hi, thanks for your talks. I'm probably asking an incredibly stupid question, but I started to grill your Clonara colleague about it, and it's a question certainly for the second two speakers, and I didn't hear your talk, I'm afraid. But just about certification, I'm just intrigued to understand how that works. When you say you certify what home educators are doing, I'm so sorry if you can hear that, that's my baby's bottom, not me. I'm just interested how, when you say I understand obviously that home educators want to be certifying what they're doing, and I understand as well that that's certifying it by the American standards, I suppose. But I just wonder how that actually works. Like, do they tell you what they're up to? What does that look like? I hope that makes sense as a question.
Go ahead, Sofia, I'll let you go first.
I'm just trying to understand if you're making a question specific about Clonara's school or in general for the... Yes. The certification, it's important because we live in a society where papers are needed and you need to validate your learning. So in our case, as a school, we provide the freedom and the support for the families to choose their curriculum, to learn their way. We are there to support them. But we know they're doing a learning journey where in most countries in the world, there's a age for you to be in schooling, which is compulsory, and there are expectations around the world in your society to make them accomplish those. So, and that's why certification is important. So you can help the students to make sure that they are, I wouldn't say on track, because I don't know what that means, but in the other's language, to keep the kids on track, whatever their age and their learning and the curriculum of the country. But the certification will always show that whatever your kid is doing and learning, it's validated by others. So in our case, it's an American recognized and accredited diploma. In other associations and countries, it will be another options depending on the local laws and whatever is needed there. So I don't know if that was your question.
Do they do an exam?
Well, in our case, they don't. They have requirements to graduate. They have, you have students who are here that I think they will be happy to share their journey. There's an internal test, which is not a typical exam, but if any of these students want to go to university, they will have to do whatever, exam is required for those university. And again, it really depends where you're coming from and the requirements of the country where you live.
Okay, go ahead, Julia. No, you can use that one. That's fine.
Turn it on.
It's on.
It's on.
Okay, sorry. Okay, New World Dream Academy will help you certify what the way I explain that to families is we will translate into traditional academic language what you have done home educating. So you can home educate freely, whatever you want. If you want our help more or less, we can provide curriculum, tutoring, teachers, different kind of experiences. But finally, it's the family who's in charge of the education of the kids. And what we do is we bring everything you do and we put it into a traditional academic language. So we're going to translate that into A, B, C, and we will give you at the end of the process. Families can do that year by year or when they actually need it. And eventually, like I did with my 4 kids, I only certified when they finished high school. Then I got a 4-year transcript that's like the grades for all the 4 years of high school. And I got a high school diploma for them. And then they applied to wherever they wanted to go. So what we do is, for example, my kids did sports, like I have several of them did high performance sports. I counted that as part of their education. So that had a grade in their transcript. So things like that, or if they do arts, and that is part of their learning, not just academics. And then music, many different things that, maybe kids do all over, but they don't count. So here we take them into account. We don't request exams. We have them. Some families want, like, I want to know if my kid is okay for that level. We have exams, but we don't require them. What we do is we give families different options. You have an option like to tell us what you've been doing, how you've been doing it. Most of the times that's plenty of information for me to know that the family is doing a great job, and we just go ahead and build together, what the process has been, and sometimes we go over, show us some of the work you've been doing, or let your kid write something to let us know what his experience has been. So what we really need to know is that it's been a serious process, which honestly I haven't come across someone that is not doing it seriously. And I've been in this for, over 30 years. I haven't come across someone. There may be, but I haven't come across them. So just to know that you're serious, that your kid has been learning, and we help you. That's it.
Kim, anything you want to add?
Well, not really, because in the United States, we don't need certification to get into university. I guess that's what you call college in our country, you call university here. A high school transcript is what's needed for admission into college, and there are organizations, state organizations, groups, so many ways to create a high school transcript, which gets you in there. So there are many organizations who can help you out with that.
Which comes back to our theme, services and activities. Is that a service or activity that your organization needs to do, or are there others who do it for you and you don't need to do that? This is where you need to make that decision. Your services and activities, which ones do we need to do? What's part of our mission? Another question.
Question?
I had one I was going to ask our panel. How do you decide when to stop providing a service or an activity for your organization? Something you've been doing, you've done it for 10 years, and you decide we're going to stop doing that. What's the way you make that decision to decide what to do, what not to do? And who'd like to go first this time?
Well, a lot of times that decision just becomes obvious when you used to have 12 to 14 participate and now you have one. So that you run out of money. You don't have anyone to lead it, and that's where some leaders get into trouble. They see that there is a service they want to continue, but the champion has stepped out, his 80% person has stepped out, and then the leader decides to go ahead and do it, and that's usually a mistake. So to me, it's pretty obvious when you don't have the money, the personnel, or the attendance, it's time to stop.
Well, in my experience, it becomes obvious. For example, before the pandemic, we had like 3 houses full of kids that families wanted us to help them with them. They would do other things in the afternoons, like sports and different things. And the pandemic came. It was impossible to attend all the people that were calling us. It was just impossible. And we were helping families. Okay, we want to do this ourselves. And then everything turned around. And after the pandemic, families have opted to do it at home. They don't want to send them anywhere else. They don't want to get into traffic. They are doing things differently. So we've had to readapt. And what we offer now is more towards what do families need, because that's what we're here for. Not for them to fill our needs, but for us to feel, what do you need? Oh, you need to do things, you're at home. So we facilitate that. And that's how it goes.
Besides running out of money, people in attendance, I go back to the values. When you see that that is not serving your mission or purpose anymore, and sometimes it happens when things change. I was just trying to think of an example, and actually it happened. So in the past, Conlara would have we had a full-time online courses, and with time we realized that's not what we wanted to support, because it's part of our mission to support a personalized learning that brings authenticity, autonomy, and joy to our students. And we realize there's so many options out there with online courses. You can go out to the booths and there's it. That's not our core focus anymore. We still provide them, but we decided it would not be a full-time option anymore. That students could enroll with us in our off-campus, so they could do their own self-paced courses, pick whatever they want to choose, find the best way to do it. And then if they need it for certain subjects, they could use our online courses as a resource, and not as a baseline of their education anymore. So I think it's a good example that we reflected as leaders. Are we fulfilling our mission with this? Are we bringing this joy and authenticity and autonomy? And we felt they cannot be autonomous, and if they are spending their entire day just doing these online courses that someone decided. And again, we still allow them, and we just informed the families that there would be other choices out there, and that's the beauty of choice, that would be providing that if they would need that. But for us, it wouldn't make sense anymore as an organization.
One thing I remember, we had trying to think of what it was, we decided to collaborate with another group in the city, another support group. So we each had the same service. I'm trying to remember what it was, if it was just getting together for roller skating or it was something like that. We just collaborated with them. And so that helped, that provided just one person then, arranging that for both organizations instead of, 2 people having to do it. And it raised the number of, it lowered the cost because we had more children participating.
Okay, next question. Sure, please. Wait, we want to get all the recordings we want to get your question on the recording. So go ahead.
I hope, Ray, you don't tell me off for this should have been asked in the communicating and connecting session, but I'm going to ask it because I think it is relevant. When you're talking about providing a service that your audience needs, certainly in the UK, I would say that it's quite difficult to find people for whom home education might be the solution, because they may know what their problem is, but it's not very widespread, and so they may not know the answer is home education. And so I wonder how you find people who, basically how you find people to know what services you can offer them.
Well, back in the old days, when people went to the library, so we would we would post in the library. We would do posts, but also in the local market or our grocery store. We had a community bulletin board that would say that we could post, here's a meeting coming up, you know, about home education. Anything you'd like to know, come to our meeting. And that's how we reached people in a smaller community without using radio or, you know, technology. We also contacted churches and trying to think of, I do know someone who even put posters up on the telephone poles, you know, with, you know, come to our how to homeschool or explore homeschooling meeting.
Yes, basically, we use social media, and we just, it's also a lot of, you know, by others getting, like, letting the word out. You know, oh, I know someone that can help you, and that's the way it is. And that's why we come to places like this, because I know that not only the families that come like you, but also the other people that are offering services. We've done great alliances, like we help each other. Most people are generous, and what we do is we help each other. You know, oh, I know someone that needs what you offer, and, you know, so it's a lot like that.
Let me also just add another example there is that we have organizations who regularly do meetings at, there's Mother of Preschoolers, MOPS, is an organization in the US of just moms getting together who have preschools, and there are several of the state organizations routinely go out and do a presentation to them. And so they try to go to a community that wasn't looking for homeschooling, but they are interested in their kids. And so they'll reach into those organizations and try to provide that information to those who might be interested.
I think that's all. I'm just thinking from I don't know, you know, what is your service or what you'd like. I'm thinking for a homeschooling association, like if you want to promote the legal side, of course, social media is the best, but it's to be present, you know, in sometimes the right place, the right time. And if there's education, it's still a social problem. There's still an impact in the world that it's huge. We don't need to see ourselves as outsiders. We are part of that world, the world of education. So even if there are conferences and events or a meeting, a gathering for education, going there and share, you know, your vision of education, it's a way also to promote and to spread the seeds on others. But I think nowadays, social media and a good message, being clear, being simple and effective message would be the easiest choice.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Go
Or
ahead,
a third one, if you wanted to, you know, maximize that. Anyone else? This session is for you.
Okay, if there are no more questions, then I will call it to a stop at this point. Thank you, panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you.